Another beautiful week. How are you doing, everyone? Mitch Jackson, Human.social, with my special guest today, Francesca Witzburg, my TikTok IP, intellectual property connection on social media, on digital. That's why she's here today. How are you doing, Francesca? It's good to see you.
Thank you, Mitch. I'm doing really good. It's Monday. I'm based in New York and New Jersey, so you can tell we're on opposite sides of the country with what I'm wearing right now and what you're wearing.
And that's what's fun about live video is we can connect wherever we are. Quick story, my mom and dad met in New York, and my mom originally was from Point Pleasant, New Jersey.
Oh my gosh, yeah, the beach.
We have an East Coast connection, but let me give you a quick introduction and just thank everyone for being here today. While I'm introducing Francesca, you guys make sure you share this out on social media, and let's bring some bodies in here. We're going to be doing live Q&A, and this show's all about adding value to you, the audience. Francesca advises clients in the entertainment, fashion, beauty, luxury, technology, and consumer product industries, easy for me to say, and on all aspects of intellectual property, which is why she's here today, and all the related transactions to intellectual property. Her practice includes trademark and brand protection, enforcement strategy, and monetization. And one of the reasons I reached out to Francesca is because of what she's doing on TikTok. Some of you know I'm on TikTok making a fool of myself, but she's using TikTok the right way. Showing the human side of who she is, what type of law that she practices, and a little bit about her family. And that's what I like most about it. She's with the firm of, is it Loza and Loza? Is that how you? Loza and Loza. And Francesca, I'll be sharing links to your firm and to your TikTok channel and everything else in the show notes, both here in the live video, you guys, and also in the podcast version of this interview, which will come out in a couple of weeks. So why don't we start things off? And by the way, you guys, ask your questions, okay? We will be answering questions live. I'm watching the incoming questions on my chat, community 949-577-7456. If you have questions, ask them on social media. They get pushed to my page or text them over to me, and we'll try to get to all your questions. Francesca, why don't we start off a little bit with what got you interested in becoming a lawyer, and specifically a lawyer that focuses on intellectual property?
Sure. It's one of those things where like people always tell you when you're young, wow, you're really good at arguing and you always have an opinion about things. You should be a lawyer. So I think that was like one of the things growing up. I am really passionate and enthusiastic about things that I like and I enjoy. So definitely had the seed planted in me. I know a lot of people do too when they're young. But then, going to college and figuring out, okay, like now, what do I really want to do with my life? I studied abroad in Madrid. I was in Madrid my junior year of college, and I wasn't sure if I wanted to go the public interest or the legal route. So I ended up going into law, originally thinking I was going to do public interest. And I went to Cardozo Law School, which is like one of the best entertainment and intellectual property law schools in the country. For those of you who haven't heard of it, it's a great school located in the middle of Manhattan in Greenwich Village. So it's like right on Fifth Ave, next to Parsons, and close to all the fashion design schools. And I just realized that it was the perfect culmination of intellectual property. It was the perfect culmination of where I could protect and help artists protect their creative works. So I was still, in a sense, giving back and able to help people, and also utilize my language skills, my love of fashion, my love of art. And I took one course on trademarks, and I fell in love with it. And that's really how I got involved.
Did you grow up in a family of lawyers, or are you a first lawyer in the family?
I'm the first lawyer in the family. I grew up with families, all immigrants. I'm half Italian and half Spanish. So I was the first, I'm first generation to even go to college. So this was a big deal.
That's what connected us. I knew there was that connection. Same here. First one to go to college, certainly the first one to go to law school in the immediate family. So it's interesting how we can bring a fresh perspective, I think, into the practice of law.
Yes.
My daughter is a second-year lawyer here in Southern California at Shepherd Mullen in Century City.
Wow.
And I've watched, what she's brought into her practice and what she's doing with the big firm. But I also see a little bit of her mom and dad. Lisa and I met in law school and we practiced together. And so I'm watching her take some of the things that she's probably watched over the years and bringing it into big law. But on the other side of the coin, I see her doing her own thing, and it's exciting to watch. Well, I'm excited to have you here today. Talk to us a little bit about, 2021, moving forward. I've got a couple of questions. What does IP mean? So maybe what is intellectual property law? And maybe moving forward, what are some things that you would like business owners to pay attention to help protect their interest or avoid stepping on intellectual property landmines?
Yes. So IP stands for intellectual property. It is an actual, tangible, legal right that you own. And they refer to creations of the mind. So think of any inventions, which may be protected by intellectual property, or brand names, creative works. You created a textbook or a poem, artwork, content, social media content. These are all things that are actually, whether you know them, you have rights in them. If they meet certain levels of protection, then you own intellectual property rights. Business owners, when you operate under a trade name and a trademark, you own intellectual property. Intellectual property is a really broad category of rights. And they're broken up into a couple specific categories, like trademarks, copyrights, which copyrights protect more creative original works, patents, which is the inventions or any unique design on a product, and also trade secrets, like the Coca-Cola formula is a trade secret.
Right.
Those are some of the major ones.
So moving forward in 2021, what mistakes do you see maybe online business owners making when it comes to either not protecting their intellectual property or maybe, infringing or improperly using someone else's intellectual property? And I want to tie this into what you and I are seeing happen on TikTok, for example, and some of the other social platforms. But I mean, generally speaking, maybe I could get your feedback on that.
Yeah, so absolutely. So a lot of businesses, and especially creative industries, you're focused on your business, right? You want to, if you're a restaurant owner, you pick a name and then you want to just get sales, you want to get customers, you want to grow, you want to expand. Same thing with product. However, people get caught up if the proper choice of a name and if the proper due diligence isn't taken at the beginning. I see business owners really get caught up when they're trying to expand, and it's unfortunate. So what happens a lot is business owners and creatives too, if you're an artist or an entertainer, producer, are so focused on getting whether it's the service, product, or content out. And if you don't do the right name and clearance search, what ends up happening is you get cease and desist letters, or you get a nasty round where someone says,
and what is a cease and desist letter?
Sure. A cease and desist letter is a letter that either a business or an attorney can send on behalf of a client where they are basically asserting their rights. So if you started using a name and you did not hire a trademark attorney and you didn't really put too much effort into the name, you just kind of thought it was nice and you slapped it on your branding. If there was another business that is using the name before you, then that may technically be trademark infringement. And what happens is then you're in a situation where you have to hire a lawyer to respond to the cease and desist letter and then work out a settlement. And just responding to an office action, not an office action, responding to a cease and desist can be the cost to file for the application itself. Right. So it really is important that you, especially for businesses, hire the right people, put a little budget on the side. Trademarks are not that expensive, and like I said, it's going to cost you way more money down the road, finding out that you have an issue with your name, as opposed to just kind of doing the proper search and filing at the beginning.
We're getting lots of related questions. And for those of you that have questions, ask them on social media. They'll get pumped or pushed through to me in my panel. But also, you can text your questions over 949-577-7456. I've got a question. I've got two questions. I'll just paraphrase. They noticed that in my promo of you, we talked about TikTok.
Yes.
Looks like some people want to talk about TikTok even more so than the legal stuff. I think the legal stuff's really interesting, but
yeah, you can find the legal content on my Instagram. I have like a bunch of videos if you're interested.
So talk to us a little bit about that. Tell us when it comes to TikTok or your Instagram, talk to us a little bit about why you decided to venture out on those platforms. What type of content are you sharing on those platforms and why?
So I did it really mainly for a couple of reasons. I just left Big Law. So for those of you who don't know, Big Law is really like the top law firms. It's like the stuff that you see in Suits on TV. Like, you know, my office was in Rock Center. We had like amazing views. I worked insane hours, but you know, I enjoyed it. However, my life changed in April. I had my first child.
Congratulations.
Thank you. He came 2 months early in the middle of the pandemic. And I was commuting 3 hours a day into New York. I live in New Jersey. I commute into Manhattan. And with COVID and everything, I just kind of realized I do work hard, and I wanted to change. I wanted a little bit more freedom and flexibility. I still like to work hard, but the 9 to 7, getting home at 9 o'clock at night, I just needed a change. So I moved to Loza and Loza with 0 clients. I didn't take any of my firm's clients. And part of it was, how do you go out on your own and start a business in the middle of the pandemic, where typically, Mitch, right, like we would be choosing and taking people to lunch and going to events and networking when everything just went to a halt. So the number one thing that came to mind for me, and I'm sure whoever's watching, you know, you guys understand the importance of social media right now, where people can't physically be connected. Guess what? Everyone is on their phone.
That's right here. We're all media publishing companies in today's world, right?
Literally. And I mean, the fact that you have this is your own show, as opposed to having to pitch a network and have them, like, the opportunities social media presents for you are so incredible. And I joke about it, thinking back, if you were to tell people 10 to 15 years ago that you could get millions of viewers and likes on content to promote your business, I mean, I think they would, for free.
It's crazy, because you're talking to somebody, and we're getting some good questions, you guys, and I'm going to bring them all up. I see everyone's questions, so I am thinking about you.
Yeah, I think cutting me off, I could talk a lot. So.
Oh, no. We're good. We have plenty of time.
Okay.
You know, what's interesting is you're talking to someone who was around really before the internet as we know it in business. Okay. 86 is when I started practicing. And I remember how much money, how much time we spent doing what you just described. I'd have to leave and go to a bar association meeting, you know, away from the family, maybe make 1 or 2 quality connections in the evening, but you're competing against big firms, and it was just not a level playing field. And frankly, it wasn't a playing field I really wanted to be spending my time in. With social media, it allows you to instantly connect, not 1-to-1, but 1 to 1,000. It allows you to meet new people, like I met you on TikTok.
Yep.
That we may not have never met before, right?
Absolutely.
And it opens up new doors and new opportunities. And everybody that is asking questions today, I encourage everyone, you know, stay connected with Francesca, and she'll stay connected with you, because we're getting a lot of good questions. But there's never been a better time, even with COVID, to be proactive and to move forward. And I didn't realize that you started this journey, this new journey, right in the middle of the pandemic. So good for you. If you can do it now, you know, you can do it at any time. I have a question from future friend of yours, but a friend of mine, Mo Lilienthal. He's a lawyer out of Alabama, gifted trial lawyer. Mo asked, and Mo's pretty active on social media, just so you know. He's got a great weekly show and he's killing it. But Mo asked on TikTok, and this is for everyone listening to the podcast version of the show later on next week, what advice does she have for professionals to use TikTok? Talk to us a little bit about lawyers or dentists, CPAs using TikTok. What type of content do you think works best, or what are some things that you've learned along your TikTok journey? Great question, Mo.
Great question. And my advice would have been different a week ago. So yes. So, okay, TikTok, right? A lot of people are hesitant about it because they think it's for teenagers and it's all dancing, which is false. What I love about TikTok is the really simple editing video techniques. So instead of having to download a separate editing app for content and to create some educational videos, you literally take out your phone. You can hit start and stop, all in one, all in one editing piece. You can then add a popular song behind it. You can make that song loud or really low in the background. You can then add text. So if there's really important key points that you want people to emphasize and you want to emphasize so that people can remember, it's very easy to do that. And also, I love the 15-second to 60-second limits. It forces people who like to talk, like you and me and Mitch, it forces us to consolidate the advice, right? Do you find
what do you like better, 15 or 60? 15 seconds or 60 seconds?
Clearly, I like the 60 seconds, but apparently it's better to do the 15-second clips for the algorithm. And at the end of the day, with what the younger generations and most people on their phones, they don't want to sit and watch. It sounds ridiculous, but they don't want to sit and watch a full 60-second video. They'd rather just, okay, get in, get out. What do I need to take away from this?
Do you mind, while we're talking about TikTok, if I try to screen share and show everyone what your account looks like?
Yes.
Okay. You're okay with that?
I'm okay with that.
Okay. Let me give it a try, you guys. Let's see if this works. And bear with me real quick. I actually wasn't planning on doing this, but since we're talking about TikTok, let's see. I
went viral yesterday for the first time.
Did you really? So let's see how this looks. Can you see that okay? Can you see that?
Yeah, it looks good.
Okay, so this is what TikTok looks like, you guys. And this is Francesca's page, IP Lawyer Francesca. And it's so you put the little @ I'll share this in the show notes. But as you can see, there are little clips. And so, for example, one I looked at last night, Flashback, and I don't know if they'll be able to hear the volume or music, but they'll be able to see the video play. When you click on a video, we'll see what happens here, hopefully, and maybe not. Okay, that's okay. This is what the page looks like. And so it's basically a bunch of thumbnails that actually move while you're scrolling through with your finger, and you can have different topics and you can show different sides of your life. And Francesca, talk to us a little bit about, let me come back to you. Hang on a second. Let me remove that. Talk to us a little bit about how you're balancing content that's legal related with content maybe of your family, maybe of you out running or walking. Yes. What's your mindset with creating what have you found to work best for you?
So I literally posted this random video of this weekend. I needed to do some work, not like substantive legal work, but I was just like cleaning up emails. I was writing an article, and I didn't want to be holed up in my office all day while my husband and son were downstairs. So he literally got a pop-up table and made me a makeshift desk.
I saw that.
And I have my baby on the ground, like playing. That got, I think it's now 40 or 50,000 views.
Wow.
I mean, and it's a random video, and that's my first viral one. So and I said before, the difference in my advice now and a week ago, I was only really focusing on legal content. So if you guys are Morris, like your question about how to really use TikTok.
Right.
I don't just recommend keeping it strictly legal. It's the type of thing where it's see what sticks. So throw things out there. People, I didn't realize this, but people cared about my lifestyle. People liked that I was putting running videos and motivational quotes. And then I didn't really want to put pictures of my family life and my son because I just didn't think if people really cared about that. But apparently, like those were my highest looked at videos, and I think it's to show that I'm not just this like uptight lawyer in a suit, right?
Yeah.
I'm a person. I juggle life and family. And look, world, here's how I'm doing it. Like you can do it too. And people have, I mean, 50,000. I did something in the algorithm that worked. I don't know what it was though.
Well, I think we're all trying to figure it out. You know, it's a combination maybe of the hashtags that we're using, the description that we're using, hashtag FYP for your page, different things the algorithm will look at. I think oftentimes, Francesca, the music that we select to go with the video that we're playing, people search for a particular song, which we're seeing on mainstream television now, different music that first showed up on TikTok. And I think that helps also generate some of the things that we're doing. Real quick, let me just get the audience involved and just share some thoughts and comments people are sharing. Peter Gorell, who you need to meet, is a social media marketing expert and whiz. Big brands, big businesses. You know, look at that. He's quoting you, and he's kind enough to share a couple of different comments. You know, you're sharing your brand, who you are as a human being. And I think what's worked really well for me and a lot of friends of mine, Francesca, and what you're doing so well, is that we're showing our human side, our interests, our passions, and our hobbies, and we're seeding that with what's going on in the law firm, with our court cases, maybe commenting on breaking news stories that might have something to do with, you know, with what we're passionate about as lawyers. So, Peter, really appreciate your feedback. Katrina, I believe Katrina's out of Switzerland or Sweden. It's good to see you, and thank you for joining us. Let me see here. Peter says most people will only watch 15 seconds. That makes sense to me because, you know, we're in a tap and swipe society. I think the attention spans are short, generally speaking. I don't think the attention spans are less. I think they're just shorter in that if you're creating content that people want to see, what I've noticed with the Gen Ys and the Gen Zs in my life, they'll spend a lot of time digesting content that's of interest to them, but they're really good at filtering out content that's not of interest to them. It's not that they have a short attention span. It's just that they're good at filtering out.
Yeah.
And
like YouTube is still, TikTok's not going to take away YouTube. People are still going to want to demand to have a demand for longer form video. I don't think that's going away. But
absolutely. I just shared a YouTube video by a friend of mine, Roberto Blake, who just did a video on, I don't know if you're not following Roberto, follow him. He's killing it on YouTube. It's a 3-hour video on how to do YouTube thumbnails. And I shared it in my lawyer mastermind because depending on how deep you want to dive in, you know, if you want to do YouTube videos the right way or have your team do it the right way, he just sat down and broke it all out. Peter asked a question. There are so many photographs that people are using on social media that have copyright, and I see lots of people ignoring the warnings. Your advice. My thoughts on that question as it applies to TikTok. Background photographs, using photographs created by other people, using music created by other people. Can you maybe share your thoughts on what we need to pay attention to on TikTok and on some of the other platforms? Great question, Peter.
Yeah, absolutely. So when you sign up on TikTok, there's certain terms and conditions that you accept by having an account and by using. So you'll notice there's some videos, I apologize, there's some music in your library that either may or may not even be accessible. So that's a really good starting point. If you own a business account, because TikTok's going to ask you, do you want a personal account, business account, or a content creation account? You have a business account, you can only get access to royalty-free music. And the reason why there still is a big library for royalty-free music is because it's a great way for startup bands to get free publicity of their music. So even though it's royalty-free, you're not going to get, like the Cardi B or the Maroon 5 music, but you will get some of these no-named artists that have some really good music. And you can set your videos to those royalty-free musics for your business purposes. And the reason is because if you are using music in connection with a commercial purpose, if you don't have the right permissions and the right licensing fees, if you're not paying a fee, then it's technically infringement. So TikTok's very smart. They really thought about how do we create a working music licensing program that will benefit the artists and the content creators. So that's one. Oh, go ahead, Mitch. I could talk about this for forever.
Oh, and I want you. That's why you're here and you're talking and I'm listening. And I've become a better listener since social media rolled around. Seriously, my wife and kids are like, Mitch, you need to talk less and listen more.
So funny.
And yeah, it's true though. No, please continue, because this is the biggest problem I see creators making, and potentially biggest legal challenge they may be facing, because they're not doing the things that you're suggesting they may want to do.
Yeah.
And yeah, so please continue.
So then the way that you kind of get around it is you can also have a content creating account, and that gives you access to the top 40, to the viral content, the viral music. And I haven't really dug into the terms, but I do believe that the reason what they're relying on is a copyright principle known as transformational use. So if you use someone's copyrighted material in a way that kind of adds value, like it's not just you're copying someone else's song to make money off of it, it's not just an advertising. If it's really educational, or it's going to add some sort of value, and it's transformational use, I can't even get into the legality of it because it's a super gray area of the law. But I think that's what.
Say that again. Super gray area of the law.
Very gray area.
So what does that mean when you get into litigation? You know what I tell people when I'm on stage talking to entrepreneurs and social media agencies, and we talk about the fair use doctrine, and I don't practice IP law, you guys. I'm a litigator and trial lawyer. But what I talk about is usually when it comes down to the gray areas of the law, what I see is the better lawyers win. Whoever has the money to hire the best lawyer or law firm. If it's a gray area of the law, then it's whoever has the ability to persuade and dig down and do that. It's a crapshoot. So you don't want to end up in the gray area of the law.
Exactly. And that's a really good point, and it comes down to that. I never say, if clients ask me what's the legality on this, right? I can't say that you're cleared or you're not cleared. My reports, I give a risk assessment, and it's okay. Are you willing to tolerate this low to medium risk if you use someone's song? So personally, I take the position that I can use people's the popular songs on TikTok with my content because it's educational and it's content creating, and I'm not, just putting Loza and Loza, my law firm logos all over. I think there's something a little bit more that adds to it. But if you are a business and you are strictly, taking the song, even on TikTok, and putting it in advertising your goods and services, just because you can do it doesn't mean that it's legal. And I think we're going to see, I think right now we're definitely in this inception of where creators and businesses are able to take other people's music using platforms like TikTok. But if a brand is not, or if a artist is not happy with the connection that you're making, they may be able to object and potentially sue you. It's like, go ahead.
So for those individuals that aren't, on TikTok, maybe they're going to try TikTok this afternoon. When you upload a video and you can add words and text and maybe click around and see what other people are doing, watch what Francesca's doing, see what I'm doing to kind of get a feel for what works on TikTok, because I'm mirroring what other people are doing
Yeah.
to get the success that and I'm not that active on it, but when I do post, I get some good engagement. There's music that you can pick from. It's available on the platform. Talk to us a little bit, Francesca. When you pick the existing recommended music on the platform, I'm guessing we have the license or right to do that, right?
Yeah.
We're not infringing on anyone's intellectual property.
Within the terms. And that's the reason
Within
why
the terms. Okay.
TikTok created, Instagram does this too. If you have a brand account where you're strictly selling product, and it's very clear, it's like if Michael Kors or a brand were to create a TikTok account and start using videos and music, there may need to be some licensing. They may need to actually go one step further and purchase the rights to use their music if they're putting the music in connection with their product. I haven't really seen any cases on this yet, but it's just because other people, type of thing where it's just because other people are doing it doesn't mean it's okay. So the way that you really protect yourself is if it's straight commercial use and you're not making funny videos, you're not giving educational videos, it's just purely commercial, you may need to think about maybe just use the royalty-free music because they don't care how you use it. You can use it in it, with commercial use. And what I see some brands do is they hire musicians to create music for them. And then they use that same song on every single TikTok video.
And I what I hear you saying, and I don't want to put words in your mouth, but what I'm hearing you say is, look, if you didn't create the content, if you haven't acquired the rights, ownership, or license to that content, or if you're not using content that these platforms are making available to you because through their terms of service agreement, then you need to be careful. You need to be careful. You have to be careful. And with the original live video, I don't know if you were using Periscope back when Periscope first came out, live video on our phone, which is now Twitter Live. What was happening is a lot of people were live videoing, periscoping from the karaoke bars. Okay. Right. And so you've got copyrighted, intellectually property protected music playing in the background. And the question is whether or not you have the right to air that over this live video on this new mobile platform, right? And the general answer is you don't. The general answer is if there's a BMW behind you and you're using that BMW to promote your business and you haven't acquired the rights from BMW to use their logo, just because you can do it doesn't mean it's okay to do it. And what we're seeing is now that social media is developing a little bit, is getting some traction, and people are starting to understand what the rights and remedies are. Companies are stepping forward and filing claims and serving, cease and desist letters to hold wrongdoers accountable. Listen, we have nothing but good doers here in the audience. I wanted you to know that it looks like Mo is now following you on TikTok, and it looks like the two of you are going to be competing on Peloton. So I know he's an ex college football player and he works out every single morning. So I think he's going to keep you on your toes when it comes to staying on the bike.
And Mitch, that's another thing, right? So I'm not just doing legal content. I'm putting videos showing like my interests. And so now not only is that going to connect, it connects me with people on another level, not just on the law. So, oh wow, Francesca's amazing, and we have this in common too. I want to work with her.
And it's the fun things, the hobbies, like I said, interest and passion. Sometimes it's the challenges that we have. Although I like to keep things positive. Oftentimes when you're airing your dirty laundry or the challenges in life, oftentimes people will be sympathetic to you, but it doesn't mean they really care about what's going on. It's an interesting dynamic when it comes to human psychology that everyone needs to look at a little bit more, but keeping things positive. And I think sharing who you are, being strategically transparent on Instagram is a good way to go. You're getting a lot of new fans here. Nancy Merlin contributed 2 expert chapters to my book, The Ultimate Guide to Social Media, on Twitter and voice, which is a big thing also, right? Voice. And I'd love to see the two of you guys connect. Hi, Nancy. Thanks for being here. Bernard Nomberg is a work comp attorney in Alabama, also someone that's dived headfirst and is doing very well on social media. He's got some great shows. Bernard asked, does it make any difference if you post with the video that you do not own the rights to, the music or image? I'm not sure exactly what Bernard's asking. So Francesca, so let's say you post a video to TikTok that you don't own the rights to with either the music, the image, or the video image. I'm thinking that could be a challenge.
Yeah, and you kind of have to use your gut on these things. A lot of the law is based on common sense. So if you don't feel comfortable posting something that someone else may own.
Go ahead. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, that's funny. I definitely think you need to go with your gut. Just if you're not going to hire an attorney to tell you, go with your gut. Don't post it. Or what you can even do, permission can be in the form of a DM. Write to the person and say, hey, I love your video. I want to use it for my content. Do you give me permission? And then they'll say yes. And then you can repost or do whatever it is that you want to use. But in general, the law may not have caught up to social media yet, but you definitely should go listen to your gut.
So do you mind if I ask rapid fire,
yes,
quote unquote, type of questions? Because we got a lot coming in on text, you guys. And also I'll get to those questions you're asking on social media. What's really cool about this, Francesca, is when people ask questions on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, YouTube, it pushes those questions to me in one place. So it really helps. Yeah, it really helps us have a fun show. I've got a couple questions here. I know one of the individuals, it looks like it's they're still in law school and they're trying to figure out what type of law they should pursue a career in. They enjoy representing creatives. Excuse me for looking away, but I'm trying to just read between the lines. Entertainment law, not so much litigation, but helping creatives build out their brands as lawyers. That's interesting. Any thoughts to maybe what they may want to look at, who they may want to clerk for, what type of firms they may want to interview or apply to pursue representing creatives, entertainment law, maybe even the fashion industry?
Yeah, I mean, so that's, you want my job.
Other than your job, okay?
Yeah. No, so it's great. Intellectual property. Having a career in IP is a super rewarding career because you are helping creatives, whether it's a small business or a celebrity or an established Fortune 500 company. Everyone has intellectual property and needs help. So I would say go to a firm. You don't need to start at a big law firm. I may not even recommend it unless the partner's telling you that they'll train you, but for the majority of the time, they don't really have the time to train. So you could either look for solos, mid-sized firms, or even IP boutiques, where IP boutique is basically firms that they only do intellectual property.
That's a good suggestion. I like that.
That's where I started. I started at an IP boutique firm where I was a trademark law associate. I learned everything, ins and outs, and there were really incredible attorneys there that worked to train me and teach me. So from there, I went to big law, and then I was working on some bigger cases and a little bit of a broader background. I expanded not just from trademarks, but also to more general contracts related to intellectual property. And then I moved to my firm, Loza & Loza, as a partner, where I'm now, kind of doing whatever it is related to IP.
Great question. Better answer. Peter, I want to come back to this real quick because Bernard's a friend of mine. I want to make sure that we answered his question. Peter says, I think Bernard is suggesting that if you mention that you didn't, create the content or own the content, is it okay to use? So I grab your video, Francesca, and I use it on one of my social media posts, but tell the world, you know what? I don't own the video. It's not my video. It's Francesca's video, but I'm going to use it. Still problem, right?
It's a myth. Yeah, it's like, okay, you're just going to take, like you said, BMW's picture. Okay, guys, BMW didn't endorse this, but here's me in the BMW and, promoting my.
Yeah.
It's not going to work. Some social media people will actually be okay with it. Mm-hmm. But again, it's up to them if they want to enforce it.
One thing I do is when clients come to me and they see their intellectual property, their picture, a picture of their products or videos being used by other people or shared out. If the post that's being shared out is done so in a favorable way that casts the appropriate light on the product or service, I'll give a little bit a different advice than most lawyers. I'll say, you know what? Why don't you let them run with it? It's a new world. These are the pros and cons, but if you got other people sharing your content and promoting your products and services, give that some thought. This is a new world that we're living in. And you want to balance that with giving, releasing certain rights and things like that. But it's interesting. Yes, Bernard says that we did address it. So you're very, very welcome. And Jacqueline says that Jacqueline loves the conversation. So fun and helpful. That's why we're here. That's what we're doing. Nancy says she's already out finding you on the socials. So that's always good to hear too. You guys are going to enjoy connecting. I have a feeling you're going to end up on one of Nancy's shows. Just saying. I know the players here. So a couple of more quick questions. Do I have you till the top of the hour, or when do you have to bounce off?
Yeah, I need 5 minutes before. I have another call after this.
And I can respect that, and we'll make it happen. No problem. Everyone knows that I'm on Clubhouse, and I'm really are you? And so that's the question: is, are you on Clubhouse? And if so, are you enjoying it?
I love Clubhouse.
Why?
Mitch, that's next. We have to host a room.
Yes, absolutely. Why do you like it so much?
Okay, I like it just because, again, like with my whole lifestyle, I'm home, I have my son, like I'm cleaning the kitchen or I'm doing things. I could literally just put my phone on, start a room, and with my wireless headset, just start talking and getting the information out. It's a very easy to use platform, and also for those of you that don't know, it's audio only. So you don't have to worry about putting on real clothes or makeup.
And you know what? That's one of my favorite things about it is it doesn't matter what you look like or where you've been or what you're doing. It's audio.
Exactly. And it's chat rooms. It's like they are chat rooms, and people host the rooms so you can talk. And I host them related to trademarks and IP questions. And for lawyers specifically, I definitely recommend getting on there. And what I do is I say at the beginning that this is a public room, so don't say anything that is confidential because it's public. But if they want to have a specific, call with me, to click on the link in my bio and set up a time through Calendly, which I know you use, Mitch.
So using it from a lawyer's perspective, and real quick, let me just say hi to Samantha. Samantha, thank you. It's good to see you. It's been too long. Let's stay connected. Nancy, voice and video FTW. Do you know what FTW means?
For the win.
What?
For the win.
For the win. Oh, yes. So Nancy's big on voice. She contributed the chapter to the voice. And then she and I are big video fans doing what we're doing right here. Yes, I agree, Nancy. Thank you. See, I sometimes you want to reach out and get answers to your questions. And that's why Francesca is here, right? For the win. So when we're hosting rooms, you guys, answering legal questions, for example, maybe we'll give a waiver disclaimer at the beginning. No legal advice is being given, but we're also careful about how we have the conversations. And then what's interesting, for example, when you guys connect with Francesca on Clubhouse, you can click and go to her profile. And at the bottom of her profile, she'll have her Instagram link. And are you on Twitter? I couldn't find you on Twitter.
Yeah, I am.
You are. Okay. So you have the ability to link both of those platforms. And what people are doing is clicking and then carrying the conversation over, or the relationship over, to the DMs, the direct messages on those platforms. The thing I like about Clubhouse, and I encourage everyone to jump over there, is the quality of the conversations.
Yes.
I'm connecting with people that I've never even seen on the normal, regular social media platforms. Upper level CEOs, venture capitalists, entertainers. I was in a room last night with Damon, the Shark Tank dude, Damon
I forget
Johns, I think, is the clothing guy on Shark Tank, and the guy that either owns the Jets or owns the Miami Dolphins. I mean, it was just an interesting group of people to listen to their take on different issues. They invite you up. You can chat. You can start building relationships. It's pretty powerful.
I love it. It's in beta right now, so I think that's the reason why it's like a little bit more exclusive, and you're able to get those types of C-suite people. but it'll be interesting to see where they're gonna go with it. I still think, regardless if they open up to the public, it'll still be a pretty good platform.
Damon Johns, thank you very much. Appreciate it. Yes, it's my bad. And Jay Abraham was on with Damon. Apparently they're friends. And if you guys don't know Jay Abraham, just one of the all-time greatest marketing geniuses on the planet. So he was dropping pearls of wisdom. So moving forward in the last couple of minutes, you guys, I will share Francesca's links in the bio. So if you want to reach out to her on LinkedIn, or maybe, get your questions answered, this went by way too fast. So we are going to have to continue this conversation over in Clubhouse. That'll be fun. What are you focusing on when it comes to continuing to build your brand out in 2021? Are you going to be focusing on TikTok? You're going to spend more time over in Clubhouse? How about voice? Will you be using, I don't want to wake her up, Amazon Alexa or Google Home? Will you be using either of those? What's your game plan in 2021?
I don't really have a game plan yet. It's funny. The woman who runs our firm, Tina Loza, asked, she's like, I'm sure you have like a super rigid schedule with everything. And the reality is, I just started this 4 months ago. I just started 4 months ago. And I am still learning. I'm figuring out what works and what doesn't. TikTok I'm definitely going to continue to utilize TikTok. But like I said, I'm going to use it in a way that that'll add different type of content, a different variety of content. I use Instagram as my main core account is Instagram. I do an Instagram live once a week, every Thursday, or different timing depending on the people, and then LinkedIn. So I think LinkedIn is going to be my next, because the algorithm on there is incredible, and there's, as like lawyers know, a lot of lawyers use it, but they're not really using it so much in the content creation way. And I think that there's a lot of value and growth on that. So that's where I'm going to be setting my sights to. And
I actually didn't know the answer to that question, but I think that's exactly where you should be setting your sights to, because what you're good at, what I've watched you do, Instagram, super, popular, especially with creatives, especially with your clients and potential clients. So you want to have a presence there. LinkedIn is huge, especially if you're sharing content on LinkedIn that's different from all the other lawyers.
Yeah.
I mean, that's like the simple hack that I think a lot of lawyers miss out. They create content on LinkedIn, but they create the same content that everybody else is creating. And if you add that.
I published an article. My article got published. Please, guys, if you're listening, do not post those. What you should do, it's amazing that you wrote an article. Copy and paste a couple of the highlights. So give value in that post. Don't just say, here's an article I published and here's the link. Like, tell people why they should read that article. Like, that's absolutely. If you do post the article, because you want to get it out there, maybe add a short video and upload the video. Hey, I just did a great article. It's 10 pages long. For those of you that have the time to read 10 pages, great. You're going to love it. But let me tell you, in 30 seconds or less, the highlights. Let's go. Boom. And, that just jumps out right there. People will appreciate the fact that you're sharing content in video, or they can dive into the written, or they can jump over to the podcast where you're interviewing someone who's an expert on the topic that you just wrote that article about. You can cross. Pardon me? It's fear. People are maybe not as comfortable. They may think, okay, well, Mitch is really good at this. He's just naturally good. Like, I can't be Mitch. And the reality is, everyone can do this. Yeah, absolutely. You gotta get your fear aside. Don't be afraid of what other people are going to think, because the reality is, you're going to be, like you said, the hack is to get in early, and to get in early, there's not going to be other people doing it, and you kind of have to let that fear go to the side. That is one of the most valuable things that we've talked about today, you guys, is give yourself permission to be yourself, to share who you are. There's no one else like you. And once you do that, the magic will happen on social media. Real quick, because we have a couple more minutes, in Clubhouse yesterday, probably one of the most meaningful rooms I've been involved with, and that is how to overcome fear, how to overcome
what's the word? Imposter syndrome. Okay. And some different things. And I was listening to what everybody was talking about. Some really successful people, you guys. And one of the things that they were talking about is, just understand that the nervousness that you have, whether you're a ballerina getting on stage, whether you're a trial lawyer walking into court, whether you're a speaker walking onto a Tony Robbins stage, is embrace what's happening and understand that oftentimes what you feel isn't really fear. It's you care so much about the product or message you're going to be delivering. There's nothing wrong with caring about your client or what the audience thinks, and to learn how to empower yourself. And that's the kind of content that's being discussed, on over at Clubhouse. It's just so powerful. I don't care how old you are. You can be, Francesca's side of the scale, or this old dinosaur over here, my side of the scale. It's never too late to learn something new every single day. And that's why I wanted to bring Francesca on and share her with all of you today. She's killing it on TikTok. She's killing it on Instagram. And she is now one of my go-to referral sources when it comes to, clients that need IP, intellectual property, trademark, and everything else that we talked about, especially over on the East Coast. Francesca, for people listening on the podcast version who aren't going to get to the show notes, if people want to reach out to you and connect with you, either to retain you and or ask you questions, or maybe reach out and get you on their podcast or their live video show, what's the best way for people to connect with you?
Go to my Instagram. It's very easy to remember. I'm at the Trademark Attorney. Really the easiest way. You can DM me, and then I have a link in my bio where you can set up directly a 15-minute call with me.
I love that. All right, you guys. So take her up on that. Connect with Francesca. And if you have any challenges, reach out to me and I'll do the connection. I'll make it happen. So between now and next time, Francesca, thank you so much for being on today's show. Really appreciate it. You may want to think about live video or video shows.
I do it on Instagram. But I haven't on here yet. So
I know, but see, here's the difference, you guys, and keep this in mind. Instagram, and I'll go live on Instagram, but you're going live to Instagram live audience. Okay. This, when we go live, we're going live to Twitter, LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, Periscope, right? And so it's recorded also, Francesca, which is kind of cool. So you can download the audio and the video and then repurpose it any way you want. So I think you get a little bit more bang for your buck. But if you imagine going live on Instagram and saying, hey, listen, I'm jumping on with Mitch Jackson. We're going to be talking about this and diving deep. Bring your questions over to the XYZ platform. Yeah. You can cross promote the two. So I love that. Listen, I want to respect your time. We've got 5 minutes. We're officially done. I want to let you go 5 minutes before the top of the hour. You guys, if you have questions, reach out to Francesca. If you have any other questions, reach out to me. Between now and the next show, stay safe. Enjoy the journey and make each day your masterpiece. Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye. Thanks, everyone.